Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun? Living in the real world. Ain't it good? Ain't it good? Being all alone. Ain't it fun? Living in the real world.
What is going on, everybody? We are back. Well, first episode actually of the March to Madness. I'm here with my boy Gresh. Gresh, man, tell people what's up, man. Tell them who you are real quick, because you're probably new to all this. So tell them who you are real quick.
Yeah. Also, it's Gersh, by the way, but
Gersh,
all good, Neek. Yeah, it's all good, man. Yeah. So it's the first time I'm ever doing this. Stoked. I've always wanted to do this. I actually love college basketball, obviously, because I'm doing this. But yeah. I do commentate basketball games at my school, so I do have some knowledge of basketball. And I like the Badgers. I'm a huge Wisconsin fan, even though I'm not going there next year. I'm going to Elon down in North Carolina. Actually doing pretty good right now, 15-8. But yeah, no, I'm just excited, man. Nico, thank you for the opportunity, man. And let's just, should be lots of fun, man.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna get into our first topic of the week. I know that this was a crazy weekend for college basketball. So we're gonna just go into the recap of the weekend. I'm gonna recap the first game, and then I know one guy here has a few. So we're gonna start off. Number 11 Kansas getting knocked off by Baylor. Now Kansas was up 21 at one point on Baylor. And there's an echo. Is it on my end? All right. Is there an echo now? Oh, Jesus. I still sound like that.
I mean, you sound pretty good.
Huh?
I mean, you sound pretty good on my end. I don't know. It's an echo, he says, though. I mean,
That's so weird.
that's pretty weird. I mean, to be fair, this is our first time doing this together, so it's going to be some problems like that.
Yeah. We'll fix. So now I know that Baylor that was an insane game. Kansas was 21, and they were absolutely killing it on them. And Baylor hit the switch. Baylor went up by. They ended up going up in the game. They came back to 21, being led by Robert Wyatt, who went off at 24 points, 16 rebounds, and 6 assists. The kid went off. Kansas now falls again. And I'm sorry, to me, Kansas has been just fully fraudulent all season. They're saying that there's an echo. I wonder where the echo's from. So how about this? I'll listen to the echo. You talk about this team for a little bit. What are your thoughts about it?
I mean, first of all, Kansas, I mean, they got all these transfers. They got my man AJ Store down at Wisconsin. He came over here. Rylan Griffin from Alabama. I mean, this team was ranked 1 at a point. They've started to lose a couple of games right now. Kansas not, definitely, it's just not been like the same team. And they're also a really good Baylor team. But again, I mean, you said that's, one of like your games of the weekend. I'm going to switch to my game of the weekend, though, which is Houston against Texas Tech, man. That game was wild, been back and forth. And Houston's one of my teams I think that could go all the way this year. I really do. They're always so close, to getting to like the Final Four. And I think this is maybe their year, Houston. And got Roberts, Juwan, I mean, the center. He's his stats aren't that flashy, but he's a really great player. LJ Crowder, man, he's actually from Baylor, transferred from Baylor. He's really good. Sharp, one of their, also a really good 3-point shooter. Uzan, he's another really good 3-point shooter. I mean, they got all these great players, Houston. I think it's their time to finally make that push and maybe actually win a national title. Win a national championship. And that game was back and forth, went to overtime. We might as well also talk about Duke and North Carolina as well, right, Nico? I mean, that's one of the biggest games each year. By the way, how's the echo? Is it better? Oh, now I can't hear you. I mean, cannot hear you. Well, when Nico's trying to figure out his problems, I'm going to keep on talking, I guess. Hopefully he can fix it soon because, again, this like always happens whenever you you do something new. You always have problems, which is always annoying. But might as well talk about Duke and UNC when we're at it, because I hear him now.
All right, continue.
All right.
Bro.
So yeah, I mean, even though Duke UNC was a blowout, I mean, Duke we're gonna talk about a lot today. It looks like well, National Player of the Year possibly Cooper Flag. By the way, I'm actually one day older than him. I'm just saying, it's something I'm really proud of, actually being older than him. But no, for real, like Duke, with Flag, Knuppel, with him and Flag have just been so good. So I got Tyrese Proctor on the squad. I mean, that team is really good still. Right? Duke's going to be a team that's going to be going far in the tournament probably, and they handled UNC today. Oh, not today, over the weekend. RJ Davis, man. I mean, Ian Jackson. UNC's not a bad squad. They're just not having like their best season, if you know what I mean. Like, I feel like a couple years ago they had it, and then just like things are just not going their way right now. And the ACC is not necessarily like the toughest conference. When you look at like college basketball right now, the SEC is probably like the toughest. Then you look at the Big 12 and the Big 10, right? Like right up there. The ACC it's not bad, but it's not as tough as it used to be a couple years ago. And yeah, so that's one of my games. But how do you first of all, are we fixed? Is the problem fixed, Nico?
It's gonna be a little bit of an act, but I'll get time.
It's all good. I mean, always have these technical problems, but
yeah, dude, right? I know. But all right. Going into that, yeah, Duke, that was amazing. That was a kind of UN and Duke. That's time rivalry into the brink. And
Nico, I'm sorry for cutting you off. You're kind of like cutting in and out a little bit. It's not like maybe if you like take off the headset, maybe.
Dude, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, this. I mean, whenever like I commentate basketball games, I always have these problems. It's actually very annoying because it's just me and my friend doing it, getting no help. But we got to comment what the comment is.
Yeah, you move on.
We got some epic echo.
Yeah, dude. So
yeah. So as Nico fixes his problems, back to me again. So we might as well talk about Kentucky and Arkansas Razorbacks, man. Yeah, they're 13-8 right now. They're not one of the best, squads. They could make a push at it though. Kentucky, on the other hand, they're ranked right now, but again, the return of Coach Calipari went the Razorbacks way. They got such a young freshman class with they got Flan, Thero, DJ Wagner's he's not a freshman, but he's been around the block for a minute now. They got a great young squad, and they're gonna be scary. They also got the guy from FAU, Martin, I believe. Yeah, Martin's his name. And no, they're a tough team, the Razorbacks. I think it's again the SEC is so good, but playing against these good teams, it's gonna like just get them better for the tournament. I think that's something we gotta keep in mind. So that was a big game. There's so many games to say. I can't even like keep up with all the upsets that went on. But that was a good game to think about. Talk about the Big Ten a little bit. Might as well talk about my Badgers when they took down Northwestern. That was a fun game. John Tonje again was balling out. Let's see. How do you sound?
All right, do I sound better?
You do sound better. We gotta see what the comments say though.
Okay.
By the way, I'm just curious. Have you heard like anything I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm
hearing everything you're saying. It's just the echo is horrendous. But all right.
I think you're better. I mean, except if the comments say something different. Right now, I think you're good. So
yeah. So what were you saying?
Oh, is it echo my end now?
I think it's been your whole time.
Has it been my really?
I think so.
Well, what should I fix?
At this point, let's keep going. We'll next time.
Yeah, I don't know what the echo is. I'm a little bit confused. But anyway, I'll let you talk a little bit because I mean I've been talking a lot. I want to hear what you guys say.
Yeah. So we're the thought of the week. My big thought of the week is probably I think it was Iowa State. They dropped the game to Kansas. Kansas State, they've just been looking awful since then. They've been looking bad. They have not been looking like the team that was supposed to be the top team in the country. They've just been falling apart. I know that Curtis Jones, Keyshawn Gilbert have been doing their thing, but they got to really step it up. And they're coming off on back-to-back losses from Arizona and Kansas State. And now they just got to find a way to lock in and get everything back so they can get on track. Because now they have fallen in the standing. I don't know how far they fell, but
it was like 5 spots. I think they were ranked 3, now they're ranked 8.
Yeah, they were another ranked 3. Yeah, so they got to lock in. They got to fix this up and move forward and try to lock on in, basically.
Yeah, no, I mean Kansas State was like I think below 500, like just like around 500. So it's a team that's also like not like even close to cracking the top 25 at all. And I would say, I mean, they got, a lot of, I don't think they have like one just like star player. They got like a lot of really good players. You could maybe say Gilbert is, but like, I feel like it's a very balanced roster. And again, they lost twice and they only moved 5 spots. They moved to 8, which I think is, also Arizona, who's also unranked. But again, now obviously they're ranked, but it's kind of back and forth. But yes, I do agree with you with that pick for farther.
Yeah. They Iowa State has been looking the greatest. So move forward to I'm not gonna do the echo. And I might just have to chalk this whole thing.
How do I sound now? I might just fix
it. Fine, but it's on me. And wait, it stopped.
That sound good?
It stopped. Okay, perfect.
I might have just fixed something in the settings. This is again my first time ever using this, so
you're all good. Okay, now it sounds better. I think it sounds better now. We can actually keep going. Oh my God, thank the Lord Jesus. Holy. All right. So yeah, so we gone through now fraud of the week, and that we got to fix the everything for next week. But we're gonna keep going. Now we're gonna move on to our next. We're gonna move on to who is a contender. Now, moving on to, like I said, who's a contender? There's a lot of teams, obviously, you can say that are your contenders or are your pretenders. I don't know, in my opinion, who my contender. You probably have some of yours. I have some of mine. So I'm going to go dish out mine first. And I'm not going to go off and say Auburn first. I'm going to actually start off and say I'm going to go with Florida. I think Florida has looked pretty great all throughout the season. I know they're just coming off of a bad loss to Tennessee. They now split the season series with Tennessee, so they're coming off of a kind of a mid loss to Tennessee. But they have looked phenomenal. They've taken down Tennessee. They beat Kentucky. They also beat UNC and Texas, so they're getting their wins in. Their only bad loss in my eyes was to Tennessee, but all their other losses weren't really too insane. In the rankings this week, they are number 6. They were originally 7, so they went up after losing. But there was also 11 upsets this week, so that could vary in between of what was going on. But yeah, they're looking really good. So that is my contender for this week. My contender would be is Florida. Do you have a contender yourself?
Yeah, I mean, even though they lost, I did mention it before. It's gonna have to be Houston for me. And again, and my reason is they've been always so close. I feel like to actually getting to the championship game. They've always been like in the Final Four, and I think their roster again is balanced. It's good, and they're just again a lot of their losses this year have been like one possession games. Have been so close, so it's like I really do like Houston, and again I'm a really big believer in them. And actually, you said Florida. I'm not. I don't really like Florida, and my thing with Florida is just like they got the point guard Walter Clayton, and he's all right. He's not bad, but I just feel like they haven't had besides their win against Tennessee, they also lost them as well. I don't know. I'm just not really. I think their offense is just not fully there all the time. I feel like, and it's kind of also Tennessee too. I think Florida and Tennessee are very similar basketball squads, both with great. They both have solid defenses, but their offenses I think could be definitely better. But Houston's my pick.
Yeah, another team I also want to give, and I'm gonna go bias here. I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna go green on this one. I'm gonna give it to my Spartans as a contender too.
They have looked, honestly, this is probably the best basketball I've seen from Spartan basketball since they
lost this past weekend.
Yeah, I know they did lose this past weekend to USC, but we're not gonna take that away from the fact that I do think that they're a contender. They have looked great this season. Jaden Akins and Jace Richardson have really been leading the helm of this team. Carson Cooper and Cohen Carr have been really playing well. Frankie Fiddler coming from I think it was like Maui University or something like that. He came from somewhere and he was averaging 20 a game. He's been looking really solid. The only struggles, though, for this Michigan State team that would make me not want to put them as a contender is their three-point percentage. Their three-point percentage is one of the worst in the country. They can't shoot at all almost half the time. Tom Izzo just likes to work in the paint. They take the most in-shots paint. I think in the country, they're top 5, top 10. And they're looking great. They have one of the best defenses in the country. So I think that with just more of, if they can find their three ball and they can get hot at the right time, Michigan State could be a team that could be in contention to go to the Final Four this year. And I firmly believe that.
I mean, yeah, that's the guy. Izzo is their head coach. He's been there multiple times. And also something else about the Spartans is that they didn't really work the portal at all. I feel like most of their squad has been with them for multiple years. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like they've been, they don't really use the portal that much.
No, so Frankie Fiddler is someone that they brought in from the portal. They also are not a big fans of using the portal either. Frankie Fiddler got brought in through the portal. Tyson Walker got brought in through the portal. They one of the remaining guys that had, they stayed, was Jaden Akins. He stayed. AJ Hogarth did transfer. Obviously, for the loyal people who've been watching this show a long time, you know that I cannot stand AJ Hogarth for the absolute life of me. The day that I'm telling you, the reason why this team right now is 16 or 18-3. What is their record right now? I honestly don't even remember. They're 18-3 is because AJ Hogarth left. I'm telling you, every single win this season has been because AJ Hogarth has not played in the game. And that's the reason why that they're winning. So I'm so happy for Michigan State. They're playing well. That's a team that I think that can seriously contend for a Final Four spot if they actually lock in and shoot, better from the three. But that is my one of my contenders also. Do you have one more contender you want to throw out there?
I mean, these are not boring ones, but these are ones I feel like you probably have too. Obviously, I got Auburn, which you probably have as well. I mean, they're 21 right now. Yeah. But I actually like Bama a lot too. Bama has the best offense right now in college basketball. They got Sears, Nelson. I mean, this is a good squad. They're just in the Final Four. They're ranked 3 right now. I mean, they're eventually I think they're gonna get back to the Final Four, and they might. Who knows? They might actually win it all this year. But that's a team I think that, again, how I see it is that teams that play in the hardest conference are going to be ready for the tournament. Yeah, they're playing really good competition, and I really think that SEC is the best right now. I mean, we're at Florida, Tennessee, Auburn, Bama, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I mean, it's so many good teams in the SEC this year. So I mean, and I also have Duke as well. But I mean, I think those are the top 3 teams right now in college basketball. So it's pretty self-explanatory. But
yeah, no, for sure. But now we're gonna move on to the next segment of the show. It'll be moving on to who is your pretender. Now, as of right now, we're pretty far deep into college basketball where I think we can kind of make the assumption of who's the pretender and who's a competitor. I'm going to let you go first because I have a few mixed ones.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to say Iowa State. And again, I don't know your thoughts on it, but I know they lost their past 2 games and they got a good squad, but it's just their experience. I feel like they haven't really gone ever far in the tournament. And I just not really set on the squad. I mean, they have a good roster, but I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of them right now. And I mean, they've lost some games they should probably have. Again, losing to Kansas State's not going to look good for them at all. That's a game they got. And it was 19 points as well. It's not a close game at all. So yeah, that's a squad. I just don't see them going far.
Yeah. So for my pretender, now this is my this is my thing about a pretender. When you're a pretender, you're clearly good in the eyes of the fan base and maybe some of the general public that supports you. Fair. For me, man, you can go with UConn if you're feeling that way. You can go with Kentucky, man. But me personally, bro, this is just my personal opinion.
I am not entirely sold on the Tennessee Volunteers
That's
to
also a good one too.
go all the way. Now listen to a lot of their losses that they have outside of like them losing to Florida, and basically the 2 Florida games and the Kentucky game. They lost by 2 points or less. I'm not an insane fan of Tennessee. I don't think that their roster is talented enough. Their guard play is there, but I don't see them as a roster, as an overall roster that can make it to the national championship. You've seen Tennessee having great rosters throughout the years, and Tennessee just failed to just make a noise out of it. I remember when they had Grant Williams. I remember when they had I don't remember who else they had from Tennessee that was really, really good. They had
last year. I mean, you're not going to think Dalton Kennett.
Oh yeah, with Dalton Kennett, and they barely. I think they only made it to like the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight.
Yeah, that was not far at all.
Yeah, they didn't make it far at all, and it's like you have the talent right there. But I mean, granted, last year it was just Dalton Kincaid and nobody else. Now you have a lot of these guys that came back. Not a lot of great, like really good guys, but a lot of just average players that are meshing to be really good. And to me, I just don't know if I can see the Volunteers making it very far. And that's not really a knock on them. And then personally too, this is just me hating Purdue. I don't see Purdue making it either very far in the tournament. I also view them to be a pretender in this college basketball world. I'm not a fan just on the fact it's not even really me hating because they're in the Big Ten. But it's like, their losses have kind of been to teams that have just really been head scratchers. I mean, you beat Alabama at home, go on the road and get dropped by 20 to Marquette. Then you go and you lose to Penn State at Penn State. And then you have these two back-to-backs to Auburn and A&M, which are two SEC teams. And it's like, man, and then you're like, then they go on this huge roll. They beat Ohio State. Then they lose to Ohio State by 3 at home. It's that this team is now, I think, honestly lacking a leader. That's the problem. I think that same thing with Michigan State too, and a lot of these Big Ten teams is that they have really good players, but they just don't have the guy. They don't have like a guy, and I'm going to use Kansas, and I think Kansas is probably one of the bigger frauds too, but they don't have like a go-to guy like Hunter Dickinson, or you don't have a go-to guy like Mark Sears on Alabama, or Broom, or Cooper Flagg, or you don't have these guys on your team that are going to be your go-tos. And I think that's the real big problem with Purdue is that when it comes down to Purdue having to lock in and to find a way to, say you're down by 3, you need a bucket. Like, who are you going to? Are you going to go to Braden Smith? Maybe. Are you?
No, sorry, keep on going.
No, you're good. It's just you don't know who you're going to go to in those situations. So I think Purdue's a fraud in my opinion. I think that their losses are really bad, and I think that for Purdue to be ranked a top 10 team in the country right now, or what are they ranked right now? They're to be ranked top 10 with no wins or with no really, minus Alabama when they were 2, but with no other really big win on the season. I'm not really a big fan of Purdue going into March and coming out of March. So those are my 2 frauds. So I don't know if you have any other pretenders on your side or on your list.
I mean, just by looking at the history, I mean, again, I think they're good this year, but like I can't tell is Marquette, actually, the Golden Eagles. They got Cam Jones, who's legit. They have a couple bad losses. They also Xavier by 2. I know they just lost a UConn team, which is very up and down this year, and we'll probably talk about them later. But I mean, they got what's his name, Stevie Mitchell. They got who's good, Goblin. They got some players. I don't know if they got it like in them this year. Like they're just like, again, like I kind of see it if teams are always so close to making it far, and like they get to like the Elite 8 or like to the Sweet 16, and they just can't make that final push. It's obviously like I'm trying to think about it. Like it's like obviously some change that has to be made, and for Marquette, like it's just not working out for them like of late. And again, their record's good right now, but I'm not set on it that Cam Jones is like the guy to like carry them to a national championship. And I don't know. But I mean, they're not like I still think they can go far. So, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I think Marquette has been now back-to-back round of 32 exits now.
Yeah, no, it was something like that. I thought they went far last year though for some reason.
Yeah, I remember that. But now we're gonna move on to who is your Cinderella. Now, you can sit here and you can go out, you can literally go and name like Alabama State University, and you can sit
I mean, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to go research you all of the reasons why that Alabama State University should be in there. But I'm going to give a shout out to the Maryland Terrapins, man. They have been on a roll this season. They are one of the hottest teams in college basketball right now. That is one of my Cinderellas. Derek Queen and Jacoby Giuseppe, they have been absolutely – they have been dominant, man. They have been dominant. They have now shown that they can compete with the best. I know they just beat your Badgers at home, though. They went down to Illinois, went to Indiana. They have great wins so far, and their losses aren't really even too bad either. And they've really kept it in neck and neck with a lot of these teams. And they have really built up a great program. And Maryland's starting to finally come back into the basketball world. I do think, though, that Maryland could make one of those Elite Eight runs if they get on the right side of the bracket and they go down and they can sit there and they can compete with the best of the best. Now, granted, they still have to play a pretty hard Big Ten schedule coming up. I mean, they do have Ohio State, they have Michigan State, they have Penn State and Michigan, both away games back to back, and then Northwestern to wrap the season up. They could make a lot of noise going into the Big Ten tournament, and they can make a lot of noise in March Madness if they get in and if they make it in. I think that they should make it in. I think they have a lot of good wins this season so far as it is, and their resume is already good enough as it is. Now they just got to keep building momentum for that team. So that's my Cinderella. So who is your Cinderella?
Well, yeah, no. First of all, I do actually like that pick a lot. The problem with this is though, we're always wrong. I feel like so. Last year with NC State, no one knew that NC State was going to go to the Final Four and had a chance of actually winning it all. It's just crazy because they were one of the last seeds in the ACC tournament, and then they went all the way to almost all the Final Four, which is crazy. But anyway, I got Memphis. I know it's a crazy one maybe, but if you look at their wins, what's up?
I said I can't wait to hear your reasoning behind this.
Okay, so they're ranked 17th right now, right? Mm-hmm. And they have won some good games. They beat they beat the Spartans back in November.
Yeah, I remember.
Beat UConn, and they're 18-3 right now. They just have PJ Haggerty, who's again a solid player. They also got Tyrese Hunter, so they got great guards. And I mean, I just kind of think Memphis is we've seen with FAU too, making that run. Again, we're probably gonna be wrong with these answers. It's gonna be some team like a St. Peter's maybe, or a Princeton.
Charlotte University is gonna end up going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, so it's I just said again, I feel like Memphis is just a team that's kind of it's random. They have a pretty easy conference when they play in the American. And it's just again, Memphis is a squad that I feel just could make they got a solid roster and they're playing good right now. I mean, PJ Haggerty's third in scoring right now, and that doesn't mean much, but it means something. And they won some good games. So I mean, again, Memphis I like. I got one more too. It's the Razorbacks, man. Arkansas, man. I mean, again, they're 13-8 right now. They're not very good, but if you look at all their freshmen right now, again, I feel you got to have experience in the tournament, but they got experience with their coach, right? Mm-hmm. And again, right now they're probably in the outside of even making the tournament, but they got a hard schedule. They got teams that will help them get in if they can win those games, right? And I don't know. I feel with Boogie Flan, who actually went to school. It's 20 minutes from me, which is pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. We got him, Thero, Wagner. We got all this young talent, right? And I don't know. I think they're just a team that people have kind of been sleeping on. They just took down a Kentucky team that, and I thought was pretty cool. I think they can actually make a push at it.
Yeah, no, I agree. They going in. I mean, especially going into Kentucky too, with a home game too, return game after coaching there for so long. And I honestly going back and looking at their schedule, dude. I mean, they got a lot of really good wins. They beat Ole Miss. They did lose to Mississippi State, took down Clemson, lost to 14 Auburn, took down Michigan State, took down UConn. And they also beat Missouri at the beginning of the season. So that resume that they're building up is really good. It's really interesting to see how they finish. They do kind of have a very easy finish, though. Yeah, they have Tulsa, Temple, South Florida, Wichita State, FAU, Rice. I mean, they have a lot of these really easy teams.
That's probably Memphis you're talking about.
Yeah, this is Memphis. Yeah, so this is going to be really interesting to see what they do. And then Razorbacks too, like you said, they're 13-8 with Calipari and all that. I honestly think that they could get to the tournament, but they have to have a really good SEC tournament if they go in. They have to finish strong and then have to have a good SEC tournament just to be able to get that bid in. But I feel like they're going to put them in because of Calipari and blah, 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 blah. So now we're going to go on to game of the week. We have game of the week here. My game of the week is number 6. Number 6, Florida versus number 1, Auburn. I think that game is going to be phenomenal. I think that game is going to be great. I think that game is going to be really well played. It's going to really show what kind of team the Gators are. They're going to go into Auburn. It's going to be, it's probably hard to play in Auburn as it is. And I think that if Florida can go in and show and prove you wrong about some of the things you said, I think this is the exact game that they got to go do it in. They have to go in. Walter Clayton has to play perfect. Will Reichert has to play perfect. These guys have to play phenomenal to come out and win. So if that's my game of the week. And I know you had a very interesting game of the week that I think is happening in a few minutes. So let me hear about your game of the week.
Yeah, so I got that game, but I also changed it because you said like it's coming up shortly. But yeah, Kansas and Iowa State's obviously a big game because both those squads had bad weeks, as we said before. So both those teams need wins. But we're gonna hold it. We're gonna pause right there. My other game of the week, I got Marquette against St. John's. 11v12 matchup. It's a Big East matchup, right? These are two teams. This is tomorrow, this game, by the way. And St. John's has been phenomenal of late, man. They've just been on a tear. I mean, this team came out of nowhere with, again, they got one of the best coaches of all time, possibly, with Rick Pitino. So, I mean, it kind of helps them a little bit, but they've been on a tear. So that's a big game also against Marquette, who's, I think they lost against UConn this past weekend. So it's going to be a good game. It's going to kind of we're kind of going to get a feel if St. John's is legit or if they're kind of one of those teams that's just getting lucky so far because they really haven't had a lot of hard games yet. If you look at their schedule, it's been kind of smooth sailing so far. So it's going to be a big game. And also Marquette has to prove to people that they're actually the best team in the Big East because I don't know if they actually have that right now. They got to actually prove it. And Kansas, Iowa State, it's just, again, Iowa State has to, again, I put them as a team that's is not going far as one of my pretenders. So, I mean, I think you said too, Kansas is a team you have to just not really going to do much in the tournament. So it's going to, the Big 12, second hardest conference, I think, this year, besides the SEC. So, I mean, I think Kansas, all these transfers they got, it's crazy. You got Zeke Mayo, Storr, Griffin, Ronald Griffin, their center. I can't pronounce his name, but he's really good. And they also got Hunter Dickinson. I mean, this team has got so much talent. They just got to put it together, man. And they also got Bill Self as their head coach. And they got this team should really be making a push at it. And I think it's gonna be a big game tonight, starting about 15 minutes. Maybe I'll tune in. We'll see. But it's big game.
Yeah. So now we're going to be moving on to the final topic of tonight. It's going to be now the National Player of the Year. Now we're going to play a game called Let's Just Pretend That Cooper Flag Doesn't Exist. And we're going to pick our own National Player of the Year. Because I think right now, if you were to both sit here and ask us who's our National Player of the Year, we're both going to sit here and tell you Cooper Flag. Yeah. Kid's a highlight reel. Obviously, he'll be the National Player of the Year. But let's move forward and let's see who else could maybe finish as National Player of the Year. One of my favorite players in the country right now. I am leading his team into a top 5. I believe they're top 5 right now. I honestly keep forgetting their rankings throughout the season. Honestly, I feel like an idiot. If I had to honestly pick, this guy has been phenomenal all season. He had a great last season. They fell short in March Madness. I got to go with Mark Sears, man. Mark Sears has been an absolute dog ever since last year, man. He has been absolutely phenomenal. He has been great. He really leads that offense. Their guard play is really dependent on him, and he doesn't shy away from any of the big moments. I really like Mark Sears a lot. I think if Cooper Flag, honest to God, didn't exist, I would take Mark Sears. They're a top 3 in the country right now. and he's really leading the helm for that team. Him and Grant Nelson have looked absolutely phenomenal this year, and he's really making Grant Nelson look really good. And if it were my pick outside of Cooper Flagg, it would be Mark Sears.
I do actually like that pick a lot because Sears is actually I feel like Bama, they got depth and all, but like Sears definitely leads them. Like he's like their leader for sure. Like no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I could go with Broom at Auburn, which I think is probably the second pick, but I want to like have some fun with it. So I think Flagg and Broom, it's kind of like that. Flagg's got a lead, but Broom's trying to catch up to him. I'll go with Cam Jones. Why not? I mean, him at Marquette right now. Again, I kind of said Marquette is one of my pretenders, kind of, but I still think Cam Jones is one of the best players in all of college basketball. I mean, he's been there for a minute now, and he's just been doing his thing. I mean, he's a physical player. I mean, I've seen Wisconsin, Marquette. They play like every year, so I've seen him play so many times. He just is, really good defender. He just gets he's also like a leader as well. And that Marquette team again, we're gonna find out soon if they're actually gonna be legit or not. If they're gonna be a team that's gonna be top of the Big East when it's all said and done. And I think it's all gonna be on Cam Jones right now. And yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly if I don't think he's like in top 10 scorer or like anything, but again, I mean, he's all around one of like the better players. And I think we could see him possibly. I mean, obviously, Flagg and probably Broom, but
yeah,
Cam Jones.
Yeah, well, that's a solid pick right there. But I think that is going to wrap up this week's episode of March to the Madness. Now, we will be also doing live streams also for some of the games. We spoke earlier today that we're going to probably do a few live streams for some of these upcoming games. So we're super excited to do all that. Man, John, it was happy to have you on here, man. We will be back next week for sure. And, we will be back. Let's see if any of our picks end up happening. And, let's thank you guys for coming. I know this is not very Commander content related. Believe me, if I could post football every day, I would. But I think if I did that, I'd probably put a bullet in my head. But thank you guys all for watching, and have a great evening.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Nico. I appreciate it, man.
Of course. Dude.